All right, folks, that just happened. I don't know what to say. I just don't know what to say at all. North Alabama had played Power 5 schools this season and lost by an average of like 23 points in all their games. The Ole Miss basketball team did not play like they deserved to win. North Alabama actually looked like the better coached, better organized, better basketball team on the floor tonight. So, where does Ole Miss go from here? Because SEC play is about to start, and it's not going to be pretty. It's just not going to be pretty. I mean, we can all see that it's not going to be pretty. We have the number 9 team in the country coming in a week. Right after that, we've got the number 8 team at their place. This team is at least starting 0-4. Potentially, they could drop all the way. This could be like a historically bad SEC season. This is not what this team needed. They needed a slump buster. They needed something to wake them up. It didn't happen. It got worse. I'll put it to you like this. If this team would have shown up against Temple, they would have gotten beat by 15 points. If this team would have shown up against UCF, they would have gotten beaten by 40 points. This team did not look good today. Not look good at all. It is upsetting. It's genuinely upsetting to see. Embarrassing. And like I said, I don't want to have the conversation, but this team is forcing us to start to have to think about this conversation. And that is, what do we do about Kermit Davis? There's been no improvement this year at all. Throughout the non-conference slate, this team has regressed. They were better in the tournament in Orlando than they are now. I don't know what they can do. I don't know what can be done. I know that Tennessee's coming into town, and this team plays against Tennessee. Tennessee's going to run them out of the gym. Alabama going to run them out of the gym. Arkansas, Kentucky, Auburn, Mississippi State. That's 6 teams right there. Georgia, much improved. Where's the win coming from? Who is this Ole Miss basketball team going to beat in SEC slate? I'll even include the SEC Big 12 challenge against Oklahoma State. I'll even put Oklahoma State in that category. I'm sure Ole Miss is going to get somebody. Even last year's team won 4 SEC games. Okay? They're going to get somebody. This is not a confident Ole Miss basketball team right now. They play unsure of themselves. They make stupid passes. Zach Tyler says, I'm at the pavilion right now. This is embarrassing. Yes, and I'm sorry you had to deal with that screamer. We actually found something worse than the Vandy Whistler, and it was that screamer behind the bench. That was brutal. But congratulations to North Alabama. This is their first win over a Power 5 team. They were 0-19 coming into this game. They are now 1-19. So they win Power 5 games 5% of the time. So Miles Burns was the only Ole Miss player that showed up. Jamin Brakefield, the plus minus for Jamin Brakefield was minus 11. Javian McInnes, minus 8. McInnes was on the floor there at the end. Morrell ended up with 16 points. 7 and 9 from the line was most of those points. Miles Burns ended up 11. 5 and 11, 13 rebounds. It was a true double-double. Played a terrific game. Amari Abram kind of played like a freshman. Deshaun Ruffin had 12 points. At the end, I don't know. It's kind of a mind-blowing situation to think of. This was supposed to be a get-right game. Either way, going into the Tennessee game, it was going to be difficult. This team did not show up. 3 straight home games, this basketball team did not show up. Something is going on. that is the only way to think what's happening. They're not doing this on purpose. They're not trying to do that. Kermit didn't forget how to coach. Something is going on. What is going on? Shane Robinson said, first win against an SEC team ever. First win against a Power 5 team ever, Shane. Power 5 team. They lost by an average of about 22 points, 23 points from Power 5 teams this season. But not now. They won this game. And honestly, they deserved to win this game. Ole Miss did not deserve to win this game. They played sloppy. They played uninspired. They played without energy. The only person that seemed like he was hustling and doing what he needed to do was Miles Burns. And Miles Burns does not have the shot to score the basket from the outside. And whenever he is your guy, that's going to be problematic. Like I said, Ruffin and Morrell, they scored 12 and 16 respectively, but it wasn't, how do you say this? Not an impressive 12 or 16. They just kind of happened. And they ran into a team with a hot three-point shooter. You know, this is the opposite of the Siena game. Whenever we played Siena down in Orlando, I said this was like that NCAA tournament team with the young guy that could just score the ball and it gets hot and all of a sudden you find yourself in trouble, and how we didn't allow that to happen against Siena. We allowed that to happen here. Let me tell you what happened. Daniel Ortiz had 22 points on 6 of 11 three-point shots. I will say that again. 6 of 11 three-point shots. And it felt like they could get to the elbow for 2-point shots at will. And I get the idea of why they hired Kermit Davis. The logic makes perfect sense. If you can find somebody that is really good in G5 small school ball and get them an Ole Miss, theoretically, it should be able to work because they're used to maximizing their resources. But it just really feels like this isn't working anymore. I mean, in the chat, what do you all, where do we go from here? Let me know, because there doesn't feel like there's any recourse other than like Andy Kennedy a couple years ago, where you just stop in the middle of the season and start looking. In February, we have an interim basketball coach and you just kind of finish it out. That's where it feels like we're going. I mean, a bad start with this start is almost guaranteed, but this is the one team that probably doesn't need a bad start. I guess it is what it is, you know? It is what it is. But congratulations to the North Alabama Lions. Seriously. They deserve the win. They got the 1-point win. It's absolutely embarrassing for Ole Miss basketball, but it is the biggest win in their program's history. So congratulations to him. They thoroughly deserved it. They completely outplayed Ole Miss. They were the more organized, less sloppy team and made shots when they had to make it. They had a plan and they knew what to do. Our strategy whenever it gets tough is for Deshaun Ruffin to run into the lane and throw up an acrobatic shot, which he can make more of than most, but that's not a very high percentage shot, especially when Matt Morrell is supposed to be your NBA player on the court. You know, what's really funny is the reason they wanted to get rid of Andy Kennedy when Andy Kennedy was the coach is their teams played street ball. Very unorganized. But the reality with Andy Kennedy was it might look a little different, but they were designed to get a certain player the ball. There were plays being run. It just was a different type of play than running a motion offense than people were used to. This kind of looks like street ball, does it not? To where you just dribble up the court and you just kind of converge to the rim. It looks like people were playing a pickup game. It looks like there's not a coherent strategy to score the basketball. That's what it looks like. Now, I know that's not the case. I know they're running plays. They're doing what they're supposed to do. But whenever they absolutely need to do something, whenever they absolutely need to do something, it just completely degenerates. And it just spread out. Let's isolate Deshaun Ruffin. Surely he can make the 5'9" guy in the trees. He can make his acrobatic shot, and let's go. That's the challenge we're willing to take. That's the risk we're willing to take. And it's just kind of upsetting. It just really is upsetting. I enjoy watching basketball. Shane Robinson said Morrell made one bucket in the second half. Dion Guitar says, looked like street ball today for sure. And it was just a problem, folks. It just really was a problem. Where do we go from here? That is the question. Where do we go from here? Because honestly, in December is not the time to make a change. You still have to try to get it fixed and see where it goes. I mean, but if nothing has changed since in February, it's a different conversation that's going to have to happen. Because when in February, you need time to get ready for a search. But right now, it's probably a little bit too early. I like to think of positives. I like to think of things that can be done well. And, I mean, this game, I'm just a little bit of a loss. There's no way you can sugarcoat this. This was an absolutely horrible loss. And it shouldn't happen. It should have been a easy win, a coast to a win, a 20-point win. Just didn't work out that way. Anyway, we're going to get out of here real quick. Thank you very much for tuning in. Just a rough game. Just a really, really rough game. But congratulations to the North Alabama Lions. We will reconvene on December 28th for Ole Miss versus Tennessee. Now, there will not be a postcast for that game. I will be doing a pregame show for the Texas Bowl. We'll talk about that game during the pregame show a little bit. So we'll have that live stream pregame before the Texas Bowl about 7 o'clock. That should be a little bit an hour after the Tennessee game, somewhere in there. And we'll see how that goes. And then after the Ole Miss Texas Tech game, we'll have a postcast. So the 28th is going to be a big day. The 21st is going to be a big day. Tomorrow, tune in about 8 o'clock Central Time for our first live stream. We're planning on live streams at 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Central, and then a stream at the end of the day to wrap everything back up. So that's 4 streams tomorrow. That's why we're releasing in a couple of minutes at about 6 o'clock tomorrow's show for National Signing Day, a primer for it, so you can tune in for that. So anyway, this was a pretty horrible game, and I hope everybody, I guess, had a good time. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, 50 Cafe says this team is doomed, and I 100% concur. I wish we could take Miles Burns and give him Matt Morrell's shooting ability. I wish we could do that, but we can't. I wish I could take Deshaun Ruffin's driving ability and give it to Matt Morrell. We can't. Anyway, hope everybody has a good day. I'm going to take the rest of the evening off. I will see you for the live streams tomorrow. This has been the Locked On Ole Miss Postcast. We'll see you later. Thank you guys very much.